How are we doing? All right, folks, I thought we'd make it a little bit cozier. I felt like I was in church way up on the altar up there and giving mass our services. I anticipate Councilor Labange to be here in a minute now, I hope. And I'm not sure, we'll be expecting Councilor Huizar. My understanding he might not show. But welcome to the Ad Hoc River Committee, a special meeting. And it is October 24th. We have a few items on the agenda today as we keep pushing forward at many different levels and realizing the master plan and bringing it to life. And before I go down there, and I'm buying some time for hopefully Tom to show up any minute now, that we have some announcements that are positive. One is that the Federal Department of the Interior, Ken Salazar, I believe he's the director, Department of Interior, department head, and I'm sure there's a title there. He announced today that the department will be issuing a 50-state report highlighting various projects for America's Great Outdoors Initiative. In those reports, there are two. One for Southern California, which encompasses the Los Angeles and San Gabriel rivers. And then there's the San Joaquin River up in Northern California. So the report should be out later this month, which again begins to address a different way of looking at our urban rivers, our waterways, and continuing to figure out how we establish this connectivity for resources in the future. So that's, I believe, very important. On October 29th of this year, Councilor Labange and Councilman Garcetti are partnering on a river cleanup at the Los Feliz Boulevard, and that'll be at 8 a.m. And Mitch is here. Good to see you, sir. And that's always exciting because you get more people involved, and the word gets out, and people get to actually see the river, and that's very significant. On November 3rd, 2011, we'll have a public hearing for the Rio Ordinance here in City Hall in room 1060 at 10 a.m. Now, will this be the only public hearing, or? Yeah. Oh, we had one at Planning Commission. We'll be out here in about an hour or so. So, Plum Committee will be another chance, and Council. So, we have 3 or 4 other opportunities to engage the process that entails establishing the Rio. And so, those are the 3 announcements. From the bunch. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll start with item number 1, and we do have a verbal presentation by the Los Angeles River. CLA, I want to take away your job. You want to read?
No, it's fine. You were doing.
Want to read the first
great.
one into the record, please?
Item number 1, verbal presentation by the Los Angeles River Revitalization Corporation relative to the status update of their operations.
Fantastic, and welcome, Omar. Thank you for being here. I know you're struggling a little under the weather, so I appreciate the sacrifice. Thank you, sir.
It's a brief update. It's a continuation from the item that we raised at the last Ad Hoc River Committee related to the expansion of our board. As you know, the City Council has 9 appointees to the board. We have a very aggressive fundraising strategy that we're trying to roll out. We basically need to raise $1 million over the next couple of years to support the organization outside of the capital programs and projects. Our board is a fundamental component and is integral to our fundraising strategy, and so we'd appreciate the committee's blessing of our expansion. Just to remind, it was the goal was to add a total of 8 more seats, so there'd be 17 seats in total, 9 appointed by the city, and the city council and the mayor's office, 8 that we would appoint. I don't expect that to be rolled out in terms of filling those seats for a while. I prefer to keep it still small, but we'd like the flexibility of adding 2, 3 more folks in the short term.
Great. And I want to thank the board for their energy. I know it hasn't been the easiest task to put together skill sets that can help us take the realization of the master plan to another level. As you know, it was a three-pronged approach. River Corporation was one prong, the other is the foundation, and then the agreements with various jurisdictions. So in a way, you're like a frontiers person creating a new body that can hopefully be opportunistic with how we enhance the river plan. I did speak with some of my colleagues, and they felt very comfortable expanding. They see the wisdom in expanding the board, and I appreciate the respect we have and how we move together as a team. So from that point of view, good luck. And again, as the turbulence of our economy continues, trying to get the type of input that we need from others, especially in the private sector, is not the easiest. So it is a daunting task. So again, thank you, Omar, for all your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll give our regular update at the next quarterly board meeting. This was just a continued item, so thank you.
Great. Okay. We do have one card on item number 1, and with us is Marion Dodge. Like to come on up? No? Is this for item 1?
Good afternoon, council member. I'm Marion Dodge with the Friends of Griffith Park, and one of the projects on the LA River is the bridge across the Atwater, from Atwater into Griffith Park. And we're very excited that after 25 years, that finally looks like it's going to happen. But I just wanted a couple of reminders. At the April 4th meeting of the LA River Corporation Committee that was held in Alhambra, there was a presentation on the Atwater Bridge, and at that time, I reminded the body that Griffith Park is now a historic cultural monument, and I asked that they take that historical aspect of the park into consideration when they do the design of the bridge. And then just last month at the ad hoc committee, we talked about it's supposed to be an equestrian, pedestrian, and bicycle bridge, but the fact that the bicycle path is already on the other side of the river and they have access via Los Feliz Boulevard, so the bridge really needs to only accommodate equestrians and pedestrians. And Friends of Griffith Park would love to work with the team that is working on the design of the Atwater Bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dodge. Also for item number 1, we have Bernadette Soder. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Councilman. I came today because I had attended a meeting of the Cultural Affairs Commission on Thursday, and the bridge that Marion Dodge has referred to that will connect Atwater Village with Griffith Park was referred to. And on the agenda, it was referred to as a bridge that was owned by the location of the bridge was owned by the LA River Revitalization Corporation. So I came here today to just put it in the record and ask your help in making certain that the various entities, agencies, departments that are involved in the restoration and revitalization of our great river do understand that portion of the river, more than 4 miles of the river, does run through Griffith Park. It is part of a city historic cultural landmark, the largest one in our city and the largest municipal landmark in the United States. It's partially thanks to you and Councilmember Huizar and Councilmember Labange that happened. You were head of the Plum Committee that so graciously approved the application that the Griffith family turned in. Councilmember Labange, of course, championed the application. So all we're saying is, as planning goes forward with various agencies that you're interfacing with, and in some cases supervising, the fact that Griffith Park is part of our heritage, and the fact that 1,000 acres of the original 3,000-acre gift came to the city because they confirmed the Los Angeles River, which was the drinking supply for the city of Los Angeles at that time, on the city, and therefore were happily accepted, should be a factor in the design and the appearance of the amenities that are going to be appearing along the river. We would like to be able to work with all the groups involved to ensure that respect for the historic context is shown going forward. So thank you. And how can we do that?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, so I believe that takes care of the 2 speaker cards in item number 1. And again, this is a report, a verbal presentation. I want to thank Omar again for his work. And Mr. CLA can do item number 2.
Sure. Department of Rec and Parks report in response to motion Reyes, Garcetti, Cardenas, Labange relative to the feasibility of establishing a pilot non-motorized boating program.
Great. Now, I do have a presentation, I believe. And we can have the staff come on up. And this is Paddle River from the LA Conservation Corps.
Yes, Paddle the LA River, Councilman.
Please introduce yourself and your title and your organization.
My name is Pablo Cardoso. I'm a program manager for the LA Conservation Corps.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Do I go with the 2-minute limit?
No, just go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Councilman, for giving us the time to do the presentation on the non-motorized boating pilot program, officially now called Paddle the LA River. What I'm going to do is give a quick summary of the very successful pilot program that we started this summer. And after I do a summary, I'm going to have folks from MRCA come up and do their part, and then Melanie Winter, followed by George Wolf, and then Mike Mena. And October 27, 2010, the LA Conservation Corps responded to yourself, Councilman Reyes, on a motion on the feasibility of establishing a non-motorized boating pilot program for the Los Angeles River. On July 22, 2011, the Department of the Army Corps of Engineers issued the Conservation Corps a license to access and use a 1.5-mile long stretch of the Los Angeles River starting from Balboa Boulevard to Burbank Boulevard, which is approximately 450 feet downstream for this non-motorized boating program. The license granted 10 weekends, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, of the motorizing boat. The license also allowed us to be out there starting early morning, as early as 6 a.m. up to 2 p.m. on the weekends. River training of the LA Conservation Corps and MRCA Rangers was conducted by the LA River expeditions on the last weekend of July through the first week of August. And this was in preparation for the actual tours that were going to start in August. In agreement with the partners, the non-motorized boating pilot program was renamed as Paddle the LA River. Fridays non-paid trips were conducted to provide an environmental and recreational water program for disadvantaged youth. And so we had several youth programs on Fridays taking part of the Paddle the LA River. And also to raise awareness of the river, which was very important, which is one of our main objectives, is to have folks be aware of the importance of the LA River, its past, its present, and its future. Also, in order to sustain the program in the future, political dignitaries, staff, and media were invited to paddle along and participate in the outings. On August 8th, we kicked off our press conference. Yourself, Councilman Reyes, was there. Councilmember Tony Cardenas, Colonel Mark Toy, I think he's present here. Our Executive Director, Bruce Saito, members of the media, and other guests were in attendance. The Paddle the LA River website went live on August 9th, and special thanks go out to Miguel Luna. Miguel Luna.
That was a dramatic pause.
Miguel Luna, who worked very hard in putting this awesome website together. The website went live, and in less than 10 minutes, all tickets were sold to the Paddle the LA River, which was just unheard of. And then to date, we have over, I would say, close to 3,000 people who are on the waiting list, waiting for next year, hopefully, who just still want to continue this awesome program, who were, the tickets went on sale so fast that we had people coming to the park early in the morning, waiting and hoping that somebody had canceled their trip so they can join. But we had a few people who were very lucky enough to get on the tour. The trips itself, as you know, Councilman, it was a 1.5 mile stretch, and we had guest speakers coming on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, The guest speakers were arranged together by Melanie Winter, who we were very thankful as well. And the tours, and I'm pretty sure George Wolf and MRCA folks will come up and describe a little bit more about how the tours itself went. So I won't take away from that, from their presentation. And also, I just want to talk about our future recommendations for the river, for the program. For 2012, which again, I want to emphasize that the LA Conservation Corps would like to continue being the lead. We would encourage that the council really takes us in consideration to do this. For 2012 summer session, run Paddle the LA River program from June to September. We would like to have an early start, as early as June, which would include about 17 weekends. This will give, of course, more people the opportunity to be in the LA River. The cost evaluation, we would like to increase that from $55 maybe to $60 per trip, per participant. And even though there was some friendly discussion among the partners as far as what kind of boat should be out there, we feel that the single kayaks are more suitable. And that's, again, with MRCA can come up here and talk about it was pretty daunting to move people, from different ledges, having to carry them up. So that made it took a toll on some of the folks out there, and we feel that the single kayaks were more manageable in that way. The water quality, having witnessed several dead carp along the route during one weekend trip, weekly water reports are recommended for the safety and well-being of the crews and participants. Flooding, the weather situations during the program show the need for water depth monitoring system at various points. Environmental assessment, contrary to some of the concerns from Sepulveda Basin Plant and Wildlife groups prior to receiving the permit, we believe that our presence had a beneficial effect on the local habitat and wildlife. The basin was cleaner at the end of the program, and then when the program started, and the basin, no bird or animal population was impacted, even though some birds were alleged to be nesting during the program duration. Fishing line and lures were removed that could have harmed birds or other wildlife. Refuse mitigation before and during the program. Part of our mission involved cleaning up waste, not only to make the route more passable and safe, but also to generally provide the condition of this stretch of the river. Without completion of street-level waste screens or filters in the valley, cleanup efforts will also always remain limited. We recommend 100% completion of these projects, followed by scheduled volunteer cleanups led by pilot program staff and participant volunteers, which I think we all agree on that. Neighborhood impact, our presence acted as a deterrent to illegal activity, and having our quote-unquote eyes on the river put us on the lookout for unsafe activity around water as well. Initially, there were concerns that nearby neighborhoods would not support the program presence. However, this was not an issue. We brought a new recreational activity with very light footprint to the area, and asset for the community. I'd like to say that, I'm pretty sure you saw that, Councilman, but when the folks would come back from the trip itself and they would exit the van, they were just excited, and they were very enthusiastic and very tired. Safety, we created the best possible route under the permit conditions, but the second ledge is not really a suitable option over the long term, and I'll have George expand on that comment there. Having participants climb over rocks would yield an accident eventually. We recommend using the walkable path around that ledge in the future for the safety and ease of the staff. It would be helpful to have permission to move a few key rocks on the first and third obstacles so the participants can move easily, shoot through these ledges themselves. This would also help with a larger boats. Having permission to create a temporary chute to slide the boats down would also be helpful and more safe for staff. And just to, that was a quick summary, Councilman, and just, I really do want to, on behalf of the LA Conservation Corps, thank you. Thank Councilmember Tony Cardenas. This took place in his district. Colonel Mark Toy from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and of course our partners. Without our partners, we would not be able to have a successful project, and that's MRCA, Mountains Recreation and Conservancy Authority, the River Project, LA River Expedition, Urban Semillas, and Friends of the LA River.
Great. And Pablo, I want to thank you for your hard work, your stewardship. I want to bring up the folks who are actually every day pulling boats, watching out for the kids, and actually in there. Come on up, guys. Come into the microphone. Just give us your name and the type of exercises you guys do to get ready for this kind of stuff. Just kidding.
George Wolf, LA River Expedition. Ignacio Garcia, LA Conservation Corps.
Ignacio.
Matias Alonso, Los Angeles Conservation Corps.
Mateas? Mateas.
Antonio Bustamante, LA Conservation Corps.
Antonio. Well, these are the folks who, when we ride with the kids from Pico Union, actually have the kids get suited up, put them on the boats, and guided them through the riverway, and it was hot. And they were in the water, they were in the essence of the river, and the kids were I just received letters from them, and they were very thankful. They call it one of the greatest trips they've ever had, and did not know that type of environment existed in our city. And we were thankful to you for your stewardship and your guidance, and you gave it a sense of family and how you were treating the kids, and they were very appreciative of that. So I thank you for your hard work. I just saw your muscles kind of, your body straining, moving, pretty big people on those boats sometimes. And you made it happen. So congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Moore. Thank you. And we also want to take a moment, as you finish, Pablo, and you want to call up the other folks. I want to thank folks like Councilman Garcetti, our President of the Council, for being a strong steward throughout this, as well as Councilman Labange, and the other councilmen that have been consistently in this committee and pushing this forward. Without them and their support and the council support, we don't get the votes to push these policies forward. And for that, I am thankful.
And then before I present MRCA, Walter Young and Fernando Gomez, we have a latecomer who was also a vital part of the for the LA River, and that's Jennifer Meadow. Without her doing registration and guiding the folks to the park, it wouldn't be possible. So
all the logistics that made it happen, right? Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much.
Fernando?
Oh, here's Fernando. All right. I didn't recognize you without your helmet.
Well, I know. My helmet, you know what, that helmet, I think if I put it on, everybody would recognize me for sure.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Fernando Gomez, just for the record, Chief Ranger for the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. This afternoon, we pretty much, what we've did, our element that we brought to this program was our safety element. We worked really hard at this, and we were really strict about this because we knew the importance of this program and that safety was a key element and a big concern for the Army Corps of Engineers, which is to be understood. And again, we took that really seriously. We ended up teaching a class to members of the Conservation Corps in the river floods, sort of some swiftwater rescue, low-angle rescue. We brought this element to them. Again, we worked with them throughout this entire time that this program went on, and even before when we were doing our trainings through the river. And again, one of the things that we definitely, we definitely enjoyed in bringing to this party was pretty much is bringing the safety element. We brought from, like I said, there's one thing that we kept saying is we bring it from Band-Aids to defibrillator, and that was one thing that was always with us in either one or two kayaks that we brought in. We made sure we had one ranger for sure, two rangers on certain days, again, whatever the need was. So we provided this, again, to put everyone at ease that we were going to be out there in support of the LA Conservation Corps and the other partners that were out there. The one thing that we continue to do is teaching people, not necessarily we're not going to be, being out there and just being really strict, but explaining the reason why we brought in the safety element. And in doing so, I think they, some of them, they understood, and some of them just wanted a little bit more freedom. However, we knew that we needed to bring this this element. The one thing that we did, again, was this challenge was that second crossing as well, and it was always a concern for all the rangers and I'll just say all river staff that participated in it. So if there's something to be looked at, that is definitely the second ledge to be sort of viewed or see somehow we can make it easier. Again, I was one of the participants that actually towed some of these kids because they got tired, and but they loved it. And I think that, and I drew some of those remarks that the letters that they sent. I got one from Lupe, and I tell you, it was really nice to see this letter, and it means a lot, because if we can impact the kids now and make them stewards of the river, their support in the future is going to be something really helpful in keeping your mission, your vision, and keeping it alive. So it's not something that is just going to go down the waste or down the wash, and it's going to be alive, and people will be going forward with it. So again, that's a little bit of what we brought. And again, our rangers that participated, I mean, they gave it everything and went on with that. Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you, Fernando, your modesty is evident. The one thing you didn't mention is that you built within your presence and performance and the assertions of safety a level of confidence that made it more comfortable and actually enjoyable to absorb that which we're not exposed to. And that opens up a line of sight for the kids to see things that perhaps otherwise they would not have because of nervousness, fear of the unknown.
Right, yes.
And the fact that between all the groups here, you had a list of the wildlife that they could see. And you gave them the names as we know them. You gave them the names that are scientific. You talked about their habitats. And other than counting all the shopping carts that they found in there, they were able to see all of this amazing world, that these ecosystems that otherwise, and that's because of your posture. And I got to thank you, Fernando, for that, and those that were working with you. The kids were scared at the beginning. I think by
Yes.
the time they started seeing the first rocks, they're like you could just see the apprehension. And when all you guys were pulling them through and guiding them, they realized this is better than anything they could have paid for in other amusement parks.
Yeah, no, they definitely changed at the very end of the program, and we can see that. And I think if we actually played this role in their lives, again, we could have definitely impacted them. So not only did we bring that safety, but we also, like you just mentioned right now, we did the interpretive talk. We did talk about the habitats, everything that, actually, again, giving them a river program. So it's not just it's just paddle, but there was some education into it as well. That we brought, the key element that we brought as well.
Well, coming from a youngster who perhaps is going through some difficult times at home or in their neighborhoods, to have this sense of relief is magnificent. But to also put them in a place where they can make a difference with career choices, understanding the relevance of school and the discipline of everything they're learning applied there because they can see it. A lot of teachers are probably thankful for your hard work. So for that, I also appreciate that.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir.
And can you just have your crew stand up and acknowledge them?
Yes,
Let's give them a big round of applause, folks. These guys are out there as well.
We have Walt Young and Kevin Perron. Again, both people who definitely are instrumental to this whole program. And again, without even the other rangers that couldn't make it this afternoon for other prior commitments, but you know what? It was because of their support and their ongoing weekend on, weekend, going in and going out. We would not have been able to provide everything, but they did it all with that happy face at the very end of this the tour as well. So thank you very much.
Well, maybe between the Conservation Corps and your group, you can put together a fundraising strategy on how to create new hat styles. And make them available
I'll tell you, we
for
made
future customers.
Arts and crafts table here, but I tell you, they all really like that brim on my hat. So,
I thought that was very creative.
Yeah, so thank you very much, sir.
All right,
and
guys.
if there's no other questions, thank you so much, sir.
Well, thank you for your hard work. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. For the record, Melanie Winter, founder and director of the River Project.
Welcome.
Thank you. As you know, this is a project we've been working on for numerous years, been developing after the expedition of 2008 and reached out to the Conservation Corps. And in the spring of 2010. And so this past summer was really an amazing experience to see it all realized and so quickly. We had a great time leading up to this program working with the Conservation Corps crew and the MRCA crew in creating and presenting and really interacting a lot in workshops that could give them the background in river history, flora and fauna, water quality, water supply, all the myriad issues that are related to the Los Angeles River and that touch the Los Angeles River and impact the Los Angeles River. We wanted them to have a real good foundational structure as they were out there with the kids every day so that they could talk about more than just a recreation program and more than just the river, but all the different issues that impacted the river. And I think those workshops were really exciting and fun, and I think everybody learned a lot. A lot of folks came in knowing a lot about one thing or another, but not about this or that. And so everybody really got to grow their understanding of the river and to share that with all the kids and the adults on these tours. We also worked to make certain that every weekend trip for the adults on Saturdays and Sundays had the participation of one of a number of different experts that partner with all of us in our efforts on the Los Angeles River, from agencies, the Army Corps of Engineers, County of Los Angeles, City of Los Angeles Bureau of Sanitation, Department of Water and Power, and others, as well as sister nonprofits who have expertise in, well, the Audubon Society, for instance, Tree People, the Council for Watershed Health, the River Project did a couple of weekends. So everybody had a chance to themselves experience it, but also share the work that their organizations or their agencies are doing. We would hope that in future, as we schedule this, we can list out ahead of time which special guest speakers are going to be there so people can, sort of like a college course, you could check off all the different things people could learn, and rather than just having it as a one experience, you could go have reasons to go again and again and again to learn about all these different things and have a different experience every single time. We also feel very strongly and have from the beginning felt that these working with the youth, especially disadvantaged youth, and providing them with a strong educational experience on the river is critical, and that hopefully in future the weekend programs will help to fund during the week programs with disadvantaged community youth. We continue to work on developing an actual curricula tied to state standards that grows out of this program specifically, that the kids will be able to work with before they come to the river and have something to take away from after, and then do a self-directed project on their own after, sort of like Generation Earth. So we will be continuing to work on that path to hopefully in the future when we have this, have a really exciting, structured, state standard tied educational program that all the youth can work with to have a richer experience. We're really looking to, not only with the youth but with the adults, to grow stewards of not just the river but the watershed, and have partners in all this great work that we do.
Thank you, Ms. Winter. Thank you very much. Mr. Wolf?
Hi, George Wolf, founder and president of LA River Expeditions. It's a pleasure to present our findings to you. Thank you for your involvement over the years with the river movement and your role in pushing this program forward. We've been working, as you know, these last 3 years on having a boating program, so it was especially satisfying for me to see that goal achieved with this wonderful partnership. Naturally, we'd like to see the program continue and expand. We were primarily in charge of the boating component, and we were also one of the early coordinators who drew up some of the initial program details. We helped prepare the environmental assessment document for the Army Corps, which was part of the process of getting our permit. Our other responsibilities included recommending best river segments to use, scouting the river for safety, instructing staff on technical boating skills, refining the route, preparing speaking scripts for river guides, being lead guide on trips, instructing participants in boating skills, preparing trip reports, participating in the mid-program Army Corps review, and helping to create content for the participant surveys. As an overview, the basin made for leisurely flat water paddling, essentially, on a variety of watercraft, making it easy for participants. Required the staff to do a lot of heavy lifting, as you were observing, and it was hard work under hot conditions, but we had an awesome, dedicated staff, and I'm grateful to them for that. Despite the short route, we guided participants over a few sporty chutes and rapids. As you may have done, the participant-to-guide ratio of about 3 to 1 probably made it the safest outfit of its kind in the whole country, since recommended minimums are usually around 6 participants per guide. We had nearly 400 people who learned how to be safer around rivers, and they picked up paddling skills while learning about the environment and witnessing abundant life along the river. We created essentially indelible experiences for them, which they continue to broadcast throughout LA. We showed that boating is one of the best tools to create river stewards. There's just something transformative and wonderful about viewing the river from that perspective. In terms of recommendations to add to what's already been said, the logical starting point still wants to be further upstream at the very top of the basin, as we had originally recommended, although there are some logistical hurdles there. Ideally, we need a secure temporary storage shed at the put-in location, wherever that ends up being, for boats and equipment. If we keep the put-in where it was at Balboa, the bathrooms and the parking lot are nice, but the put-in isn't particularly pleasant, as some participants noted, and there's some bike traffic there, and the lot can also get very crowded. The transport truck for the boats needs to be easier on the staff, as Pablo was indicating. Ideally, I think we should attach a canoe and kayak trailer to the back of the passenger van, or have a flatbed truck that's appropriate for the size of the boats. We should focus on getting appropriate boat transport rather than limiting our boating options, I think. The boats that we use, single and double kayaks, plus the canoes, work just fine for this type of paddling, and together they form a diverse and healthy boating program. Yes, the second obstacle, as a couple people have noted, is one of the key things to deal with, and we don't have easy answers for that yet. It really depends on what kind of solutions anybody can bring forward to this. That's really a further discussion. I think I don't know if Pablo mentioned this, but the possibility of putting some gravel in along those larger rocks to make it easier to transport some of the boats would certainly help, and there is a somewhat natural path already along the east side of the river there. There's 2 other ledges. Yes, the idea would be to get the participants to be more involved in getting them through there on their own. Environmental impact, Pablo mentioned that a bit already. Adding to that, I think in terms of nesting seasons, which is an issue that came up prior to getting the permit, having done the program now, I don't see any reason to restrict boating from particular seasons of the year, especially if the boaters stick to the river itself. Pablo mentioned cleaning up the basin. Yeah, if we really want to do it, we have to get it nipped in the bud at the street level first, and then we can start to really bring in some miraculous cleaning to the basin there. Boats could also be valuable tools to combat invasive plant species. We should partner with local plant organizations and do targeted spraying. We need water level gauges in the basin to determine how rain in different parts of the watershed affects river levels in the basin. During the program, despite some rain, there was no observable change in water levels. In terms of other routes, there is a less physically demanding trip that could start below Burbank Boulevard, which was our takeout, and work its way upstream and then loop around without going through any of the major obstacles for future. Elysian Valley, Glendale Narrows, of course, this is clearly the best spot on the river to expand the program to, in my belief, but that's also a larger discussion. I'd be happy to advise on various options regarding that. The estuary at Long Beach has also been brought up as a possibility for the program, a future program. In general, adding to what Melanie was saying, yes, more youth trips, please, would be invaluable to the community and schools. We should facilitate their involvement and tap into their enthusiasm, creating a whole generation of young river stewards. Wrapping up, we need to work through 2 other issues, developing a clear policy for weather and seasonal issues. FOLAR's recommendations for recreational access and use presents, I think, the best guidelines that I know of for getting to the source of some of the safety issues on the river. There was a feeling among some of the staff, at least, that the call on canceling trips should be made by the collective opinion of the on-river staff, guided by the technologies at their disposal. This is Southern California, where 92% of the time there's no precipitation. On types of boating used, most rivers allow for both guided, paid trips, paid or permitted trips, as well as free individual boating, and this issue also needs to be worked out somehow. Again, I would refer to FOLAR's access and use recommendations on that. In conclusion, I think by many different accounts, the program was a wild success. All the staff want more of it. The public seems to definitely want more of it, and let's make it happen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your contribution, your work, and when I put this, the ability to expand the envelope when we needed to, and to be able to fulfill and come through with a very constructive format by which we can achieve these goals. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Luna, did you want to add anything?
I can tell you a little bit about the survey results.
You could.
Okay, I will, because I have something
We'll
prepared.
give you 2 minutes. We'll give you 2 minutes to do that. Can we move to the next item as well?
Sure. Miguel Luna, Executive Director of Urban City. So we had 88 people that responded to the surveys. 50% indicated that they felt the trip was incredible. 25 said that it was pretty darn good. And a lot of the people, this survey was really surprising because usually people reply and leave, 3 or 4 lines. The people who replied to the survey really provided extensive feedback where you had 4 or 5 paragraphs of people saying how much they enjoyed the trip. It was mostly very positive. The things that they expressed was that they wanted to see that the trip was longer. The majority rated that, from a scale of 1 to 10, that 10 being classified as the most fun. 100% of the responders said that they would do this again. They wanted to see the Glendale Narrows, and a lot of people said that they wanted to paddle all the way to Long Beach. The fees, the majority said it was a fair price. Some saying that between 40 and 50 was the good average, but a lot of people saying that they would pay $100 to do this experience. So it was very, very well received. And I guess I would say that, in regards to making it accessible to all, on the heels of the success of Ciclavia, maybe we could start thinking about a day where we open it up to a Rio Via to have managed access to. I'm just putting it out there.
Hang in there, Miguel. Hold on to your hat.
And I'll just close with one of the quotes that the respondent said, and said, "I didn't even know there was an area of the river not in concrete before this trip."
So there was not one negative comment. Come on now.
You want to...
Fair play, fair play.
So longer stretches, please. That was the thing. There were no negative comments as far as not wanting the trip. There was a lot of trash.
That's kidding.
So there was a lot of trash.
Okay.
And they felt that maybe we should have had trash bags to pick up trash along the route. But in essence, they really weren't. They were very positive. They were very contributing. So I'll finish. It says, the person said that the bird life, the fish, the water quality, and the potential of the river for providing more habitat and recreational opportunities were all revelations to that person. So it was a really good success.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Luna. Thank you very much. And we do have one card on this one, Glenn Bailey, item number 2. Does she have the clock on?
My name's Glenn Bailey. I am coordinator for the Friends of the Sepulveda Basin. I'm also on the Sepulveda Basin Wildlife Area Steering Committee. And I had a couple of comments. First of all, it's an excellent program. Great to get people out seeing the resource because they'll be more motivated to protect it and enhance it and clean it up. And we have had cleanups regularly over many years on this stretch, but it's a never-ending problem as things blow in and wash in. And that's one reason to get rid of plastic bags in the watershed. But I do want to talk about process because I'm also on the neighborhood council. And there's a couple of areas of process that are bothersome to me, and I hope we can correct these before next year. First of all, the Wildlife Area Steering Committee has representation from the City Recreation and Parks Department and from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Neither of those entities indicated that this program was coming forth with the environmental review, and it was a very slim deadline, very short deadline to submit comments. Around the table includes the Audubon Society and the Native Plant Society, Sierra Club, etc. The Audubon in particular has been very vehement that the activity along that stretch should not start until approximately July 1, which is the end of the nesting season for the birds along that natural stretch of the river. And when you're given a little notice of an environmental document, which was a negative environmental assessment, I guess, for the Army Corps, to get comments in, people are rushing to get that, and and there's no opportunity for the group to meet as a group and coordinate that. So I'm hoping next time, especially with the conversation about change in operation, if it's different than what it was this time. Lastly, you also know I'm on the city's bicycle advisory committee. The 8.2-mile bicycle path that goes through the basin has stretches that go along this area, including some blind hairpin turns. So to have people with big kayak, not just people walking, but it's an impact that needs to be addressed where we need to make sure that there's somebody there watching for traffic, making sure we don't have any conflicts. I really think that a site to going in should be found that does not at all cross the bicycle path. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Thank you for your input. And with the observations and others, we should have an improved program. And I look forward to continuing to evolve in a way in which we can achieve our goals and maximize that opportunity we have in addressing a neglected resource. So from that point of view, I appreciate everything you're saying. And to all the participants, I want to thank you for your hard work. We continue pushing forward. I believe in creative tension. We're going to learn from each other. We're not all going to get what we want, but I think as we maintain our eye on public safety, maintaining the goals set by the Army Corps and how we manage this resource, I think we can be consistent in looking at ways to expand and improve. I do have a special thank you to Army Corps, and we'll jump into item 3, so that way we can let you go sooner than later. So let's read item 3 so these are all receipts and files, right? Okay.
Number 3, presentation of certificates to the program partners relative to the pilot boating program.
And as you know, this cannot happen without the Army Corps. And we've had several stewards in my last 10 years as a council member focused on this issue. And before that, working in various studies through the Taylor Yard process and the confluence in the cornfield 10 years before that. It was clear that there's been a dramatic shift in how supportive the Army Corps has been in the past 8 to 10 years. To be able to look at this process without confining ourselves to these silos and to these approaches that separates us, we're actually looking at ways to leverage our presence with all these different jurisdictions. And begins with the Army Corps, and for that I thank you. So at this stage, what I'd like to do is call up Colonel Toy, and him and I are on the same time frame. I think we have almost a year and a half left.
Yes, sir.
And we essentially are trying our best to move the level of fruition in achieving our goals. And there are so many unsung heroes in this room. I mean, many of you have played a big role in realizing these goals. But I do want to take a moment to go through this recognition process, Colonel, if I may, and providing you the certificate of recognition. And it's signed by Councilman Tom Labange, Councilman Jose Huizar, and Councilman Cardenas for your work in allowing us to, and I'll read it. It says, for your historic contribution to paddle the LA River program and for your dedication to the revitalization of the LA River. And so we have this, and these will hand out right now too. Okay, we'll hand these out to you, and can we just? I'll go up there and we'll bring them up and we'll take shots.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it.
I appreciate this. And I think I'm visiting the facilities.
I think you are, sir. Yeah.
To share a few words, and then we'll start.
All right, thank you so much. Well, sir, I want to thank you for this kind invitation to join you here in the council chambers to talk about the LA River. I think with a day like today, and all of us here would probably rather be out on the river paddling right now. But when I met you about a year ago, and I've been in command over a year, you talked to me in our first meeting about the possibilities of the LA River. So it's wonderful to see this Paddle LA and now that how this possibility has become a reality. I think it's great, and to talk to the partnership. And we in the Army Corps of Engineers realize how important the Los Angeles River is to Southern California and to Angelenos. And we realize that the LA River is more than flood control and flood risk management, that there can be a combination of flood risk management, ecosystem restoration, and recreation, and we can all work together to make that possible. We have so much momentum, sir, thanks to you, about the LA River. You talked about the America's Great Outdoor Initiative. My second day on the job had to do with the LA River. But now we have the LA River being identified by the Urban Waters Federal Partnership Program as a watershed of national significance, and that's huge for us. And now momentum with my boss, Colonel Mike Wary, who came down to get the LA River presentation. Anyone that comes from headquarters USACE or Assistant Secretary's office that comes to Los Angeles, we bring them here because LA River is important to the Los Angeles district. So I just want to thank you. And me personally, too, sir, I want to say to you, you mentioned about the 2 years. One of the best things for me that has come out of my association with the LA River has been the friendship, personal friendship that I have with you. So much so I was going to ask you, sir, if you had your coin with you, but we don't have to do that now. And as you know, sir, you got to do push-ups or buy me a drink if you don't have your coin. But you're a friend, sir, so I won't make you do that. But thank you very much, sir, for that, and we look forward to you visiting the Los Angeles district.
Go get it. I'll prove it.
All right, sir.
So let's get these certificates.
Okay.
Colonel, you should know this Thursday, I got invited with about 20 other municipal officials from throughout the country to meet with President Obama. So we'll be at the White House this Thursday. And I'm going to use that opportunity because through the National League of Cities, we've passed these resolutions for urban river revitalization as an economic development tool to create jobs. And so one of the best things we could do, I believe, is in working in concert with your organization, Army Corps, through this study, get that study done, but show us where the cement could be reassessed in its presence within this flood control channel and bring back these opportunities for reintroducing these natural ecosystems and in the process create jobs and do all the things you talked about. So you'll be on my mind on Thursday, and we'll be pushing this forward to the President's advisors, knowing that they have a clock they're working with and demonstrating how they can create jobs. So that being said, do we go through this? Hold on, if you don't mind, I'll call you up here and we can take this picture. And Colonel, you got me with the coin, boy. All right. I've been. Okay, so the ones that are checked off. So we have Walt Young, Chief of Operations. Thank you, sir. Come on up. Fernando Gomez, Chief Ranger. Kevin Perrine, Supervising Ranger 3. We have George Wolf, Founder and President of LA River Expeditions. Miguel Luna, Executive Director of Bensemillas. Melanie Winter, Founder and Director of River Project. Karen Flores, Friends of the LA River. Karen here. We have Jennifer Merrow, Paddle LA River Assistant, LA Conservation Corps. Ignacio Garcia, Antoinette Bustamante, Matias Alonso. Matias. I want to say Matias, it's Matias. Irene is not here, right? Pablo Cardoso, come on up, Pablo. Yasmin Corona. Yasmin's like, are they going to call me? John Kopetsky. John, are you here? Come on up, John. And thank you, John, for all your insight. You were a major resource for us at the outset. Thank you so much. Our Army Corps, great, they're here. The LA River Office, Bureau of Engineering, come on up, you guys. Can't do this without you. Come on up. And our Bureau of Sanitation, Department of Public Works. as you receive your certificate and helping us out with this contribution, and Mitch, why don't you come on up? And Councilman Garcetti's office. You guys have been very consistent throughout the committee process. I know Councilman Labange would have loved to have been here, but I know he got pulled away. But on your certificate, you're going to find, in the dedication, you're going to find the Sanjero notice on the left side of the certificate. It's a little like the salmon colored. Well, that certificate is a replica of what was provided back at the turn of the century. At that time, the Sanjero, which is a person who manages the canals, actually dug the Zanja Madre, which is the mother canal that stretched out from the river into the city of LA. Now, this person was more powerful, and all due respect to the mayor at that time, because without the water, the property does not flourish. Without the water, people can't live on those lots of land. Los Sanjero actually provided the certificates for you to be able to plug into the system that the river was providing through the Zanja Madre, which was the mother canal. So again, it's 100 so many years later, but we're still trying to give life to our city through the river, and because of your efforts, we're making it possible. So with that, we'll do the photo shot. And Tom, Councilman Labange is here with us. Let's give it up for Tom for showing up. Thank you, sir.
I wish I was in the river. I wish I was in the river. But Ed, I just want to say, I don't know if you already said it, what's so special is 230 years ago, 44 people, about twice as many that we honor right here, founded the city. They walked from the Mission San Gabriel to the banks of what would be the Los Angeles River. And the only two things you really need in life, the two absolute things that you need is water and relationships. Water to cleanse our bodies and fuel our souls and grow our food. And then relationships. And the relationships being fostered under Mr. Reyes' leadership as the chair of this committee, under all your concepts and ideas, are making dreams that we both had. I'm a little older than Ed, but I used to swim in the river right by Sunny Nook Bridge. I made $1.20 one day because I caught a bunch of frogs, and I went back to the Ivanhoe schoolyard, sold them for a nickel each. It was enough to buy a lot of ice cream too. But I'm glad you're getting honored, and these are beautiful certificates. And we thank the calligraphers for the great job. And that's a very proud image of the great, is that the 4th Street Bridge? It looks like the 4th Street Bridge. But it's all those bridges are very special. So congratulations. I'm sorry I was late for the meeting. Now we'll get the group shot. Thank you.
If maybe we go behind the table, we can make more of a V shape.
Loopy, get in here. Come on. I'm sorry, Ed.
Absolutely.
Looking good. Come on, squeeze in just a little bit more. Like you love each other. Okay, everybody? 1, 2, 3. Good. Once again. Looking good. Hang on. All right. 1, 2, 3. Concentrate. Smile. Good. And one more.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you, guys. All right. So I believe that concludes the meeting. Anybody here for public comment?
Mr. Chair, item number 2, you will, what action is are we
This will be a
gonna
note
take-
and file as well?
No. Note and file item number 2. Okay.
Okay, item 3. Okay, so that takes care of everybody? All right, so thank you, Tom, and thank all of you for being here. I thank the Army Corps for their presence and their support. Let's move forward. Have a great day. This meeting is adjourned.